Murdered Delphi teens were intended victims of botched kidnap plot, cops believe, as investigators dig up dead cat to match hairs found on girls to alleged killer's pet. Right, so we're going to take a look at this recently released newspaper article concerning the Delphi murders, after which I'll share my own thoughts and feelings. Murdered Delphi teenagers Liberty German and Abigail Williams were victims of a botched kidnapping plot hatched by members of a local ring. This is just one of a host of disturbing new details and allegations, including gruesome details about how the girls died, and that police dug up the prime suspect's dead cat in an effort to match hairs found on their bodies. The revelations come just 2 weeks after authorities released a redacted version of the probable cause affidavit that led to Richard Allen's arrest. Allen, 50, was charged on 2 accounts of murder on October 28th, 5 years after 14-year-old Libby and 13-year-old Abby were found dead in Delphi, Indiana on February 13th, 2017. DailyMail.com has learned that shortly after his arrest, one of Allen's neighbours recalled seeing police digging in his yard. Now DailyMail.com has been told they were digging up the family's dead cat, whose hair proved a match for the samples found on one of the victims. Carroll County prosecutor Nicholas McClelland has openly stated that he believes Allen is not the only actor involved in this. And while Allen has not been charged with kidnapping, prosecutors have alleged he attempted it. Now sources close to the investigation have claimed that Allen was acting with at least 2 other men and was involved in a ring. Last month, DailyMail.com revealed Keegan Klein, 28, of Peru, Indiana, who is currently awaiting trial on a slew of CSAM charges, was cooperating with state police and prosecutors in a bid to reduce his own charges. Sources told DailyMail.com, quote, "The girls met Keegan Klein online and he arranged to meet them that day but didn't go. Instead, he set them up to be kidnapped for the ring." During one of several police interviews, Klein admitted to soliciting girls for nude images by catfishing them, posing as teenage girl Emily Ann or hunky actor model Anthony Schatz. It was as Schatz that he communicated with Liberty German. Chillingly, Schatz was one of the last people to communicate with the girls before they took their fateful walk on Delphi's Monon High Bridge Trail. Police interrogating Klein told him they did not believe he committed the murders, but was protecting the identity of whoever did. Now the source has revealed that Klein has cut a deal with prosecutors. Quote, "The search warrants on Allen's home and property were carried out based on Keegan's testimony." Indiana State Police Carroll County spokesman Sergeant Jeremy Peers would neither confirm nor deny any of the details when put to him. He said, quote, "Law enforcement has not released any of those details or anything beyond what is in the probable cause." The source claims that Klein, from whose devices police retrieved a slew of CSAM material, knows Allen and that the men met when they both lived in Peru, roughly 40 miles northwest of Delphi. The source also claims that both men knew Ron Logan, whom police first pegged as a suspect in the killings after the girls' bodies were found on his property some 1,400 feet from his home. An FBI search warrant served on Logan's home and property dated March 17th, 2017, revealed that on February 14th, the day after the killings, Logan asked a relative to provide him with a false alibi. He told a cousin to say that a friend had picked him up and taken him to a fish store between 2 and 2:30 p.m. and that he didn't return home until 5:30. The last time the girls were known to be alive was at 2:13 p.m, when Liberty German made a brief cell phone recording of the now infamous bridge guy approaching the girls with the words, "Guys down the hill." Logan's alibi was shown to be a lie, and text messages retrieved from his phone showed he was out of his house and in the vicinity of the murders on the evening of February 13th. The FBI document also noted Logan asked his relative to lie for him the following morning before the crimes were even discovered. Logan died at the age of 84 on January 24th, 2022 and was never named as a suspect. But now sources have told the Daily Mail that Logan, who had a history of violence against women, was involved. According to the source, investigators believe that the plan had been for Alan to kidnap the girls and bring them to Logan's home, where he and allegedly Klein would assault them. They said, quote, "The girls were supposed to be kidnapped for the ring, but something went wrong, and he knifed and assaulted one and almost decapitated the other. Logan and Klein never met the girls." Police have been tight-lipped about the girls' cause of death, saying only that there was a lot of blood at the scene. Now the Daily Mail has been told that the murder weapon was a knife and that both girls bled out. Speaking well ahead of the probable cause affidavit's release, the source revealed that the girls were killed near the river, information since confirmed, but then moved and posed naked under a tree. The FBI search warrant served on Logan's home also included law enforcement's belief that the killer may have taken souvenirs. The DailyMail.com has been told that underwear and a cell phone were taken from the scene. The newly released probable cause affidavit also reveals that one of the girls could be heard saying the word gun. According to the source, the killer was wearing a gun on his waistband. Police recovered a Sig Sauer model P226 as well as knives from Alan's home. Alan's wife, Kathy, 50, confirmed that the weapons were his. Forensic testing of an unspent round found near the girls' bodies showed that it had been cycled through Alan's gun. According to the probable cause affidavit, even though the bullet had never been fired, it bore telltale and unique signs of having been in Alan's weapon. The affidavit states, quote, "Between October the 14th, 2022 and October the 19th, 2022, the Indiana State Police Laboratory performed an analysis on Alan's Sig Sauer model P226. The laboratory performed a physical examination and classification of the firearm, function test, barrel and overall length measurement, test firing, ammunition component characterization, microscopic comparison and NIBIN, National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. The laboratory determined the unspent rounds located within 2 feet of victim 2's body had been cycled through Richard M. Allen's Sig Sauer model P226. Allen could not explain how a bullet that had been through his gun could have ended up there. He denied ever having been on the property or having lent his gun to anybody. Allen has strenuously denied any involvement in the killings, though he admitted to police that he was on the trail on the day that the girls went missing. According to the probable cause affidavit, several youngsters saw him there ahead of the murders. His lawyers say he's simply the wrong guy. They have dismissed the probable cause affidavit as flimsy and described the forensics relating to the unspent bullet as junk science. Okay, so what are my thoughts on this rather bizarre newspaper article that's recently surfaced? I think the first thing that draws me to it, or the first thing that I want to discuss, is this talk about Richard Allen and his plan to take the girls to Logan's property. Now, my big issue with that idea is, okay, if something went wrong at some point in time and these girls were murdered, Richard Allen is covered in blood, he's covered in mud, whatever, then why didn't Richard Allen head to Ron Logan's house? Why didn't he go there to get cleaned up or change his clothes? It's a little bit, it doesn't make much sense to me that Richard Allen would bypass Ron Logan's house, walk past the cemetery, up onto that road, back towards his car, in full view of passing motorists. To me, if someone else is in on this, you're going to be knocking on their door saying something's gone terribly wrong, I need to get cleaned up, and you would be, you'd be going to that person and trying to, as I say, make yourself look presentable and making your way back to your vehicle. You wouldn't just bypass his property and head out in the open, covered in mud and blood, back to your car. So to me, if there is this sort of like close-knit plan in place here with Keegan Kline, Ron Logan and Richard Allen, then why has Richard Allen not utilised Ron Logan when something has gone wrong? A secondary point of discussion, I think, has to come from this mention of a second phone. Who does that second phone belong to? I mean, is this a secret phone owned by Liberty German? Is this a phone owned by Abigail Williams? I mean, I've always been under the impression, and I could be wrong when I say this, but I've always been under the impression that Abigail Williams didn't have a phone. So who does this second phone belong to? What doesn't make any sense in regard to taking that phone from the crime scene is, okay, if they've taken a second phone away from the crime scene, then why leave Liberty German's phone there? Because we're led to believe that the phone was found relatively close to the bodies, relatively close to the crime scene, yet that phone has been left there and another phone has been taken. To me, that doesn't make much sense. I mean, this could have been something that investigators have been hiding or keeping under wraps for some time. Maybe that they class that as some kind of information that only the killer would know. But it doesn't make much sense as to why they would take that phone and yet leave the other one at the crime scene. I do also find it a little bit laughable where it states the following. Speaking well ahead of the probable cause affidavit's release, the source revealed that the girls were killed near the river. Information since confirmed. Like, not being funny, we've known that for like nearly 6 years. It's not, it's not hidden information. We've known that they were killed with a knife for months. Years even. I mean, it's been discussed on other people's channel, I'm sure, since when this crime actually took place. That this was, most likely a knife attack. So the way it's worded there is just, I don't know, it's a little bit shameful, really, to be honest. Speaking well ahead of the probable cause affidavit, as if it's like, this information is factual. This has to be the truth because we were given this information before the probable cause was released. Speaking well ahead of its release. The girls were killed near the river. Wow. Wow. Who didn't know that? I mean, everybody has known that. It's just, not great, to be honest, not great. Another one of my issues regarding this being a kidnap which has gone wrong is when I read this story, the first thing that flashes into my head is, okay, if this is a kidnap that's gone wrong, then what was the need for the knife? Why did you bring the knife along with you? If you've approached these two girls, you've pulled out your weapon, they've complied, they've gone down the hill, you've got a loaded firearm in your hand, why do you believe a knife would make someone comply more than a firearm? To me, that doesn't make any sense. The knife has been taken there to kill. It's been taken there for a specific purpose. It isn't to make someone comply with your requests. It's to do damage. It's to kill somebody. Now, my own personal belief stands as it always has, or has for quite some time, that I do believe that there is other people involved in this murder, or at least had knowledge of these murders, not just Richard Allen. I firmly believe there is a connection with Richard Allen and the Kleins. But with Ron Logan, I just don't have a good sense either way. I really don't. I don't have a strong feeling towards Ron Logan, neither one way nor the other. One thing I will say though, is when you look at how all of this information has come out over the past months, the leaking or releasing of this Ron Logan document, then we had the Keegan Kline stuff, then we had the interview with Keegan Kline, which was leaked. And then we had, Keegan Kline talking to police, the search of the river. All of that combined, I just wonder if they were trying to shake Richard Allen out of his tree by releasing, or not releasing, but connecting other parts of the other parts of the triangle. Does that make sense? So if this is indeed factual, let's just imagine it is factual for one moment, that there is this triangle between Keegan Kline, Ron Logan and Richard Allen. We had the Ron Logan document released. We had all this information released out there publicly via podcast and different formats on Keegan Kline. Were they trying to shake Richard Allen out of his place? Was he the missing part? They'd already got the other two pieces of information. They knew who the third person was and they were trying to rattle him in some way. I mean, is that a possibility? I don't know. Anyway, do leave your own thoughts and theories in the comments section below. Just before I go, I've just got to mention that I have been absolutely hammered with some kind of flu for the last 5 days. I'm just starting to feel better now. So if my narration hasn't been up to its normal standard, I do apologise, but I've tried to get a video out there when I've felt able to do so. So hopefully this has come out okay. A massive thank you as always to my new viewers stateside. It's great to hear your comments, your suggestions. Do keep them coming, as I say, in the comments section below. Very shortly you'll be able to see the Delphi playlist, which has all of the videos concerning this case in one convenient file. Do feel free to check those out at your leisure. And I look forward to seeing you all again for the next one. Take care. Cheers.